Okay. Do do do. Hey, Kelly. Jared joined. Can you hear me?
Hey Kelly, I sent that link out outside of just the meeting password and stuff, so we can target them both ways, by the link and the meeting ID number. So hopefully they start piling in.
Tron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can't hear anybody. Hang on.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Lisa. Yeah. Did the link I sent followed up by the meeting ID work for everyone?
That's what I used.
Okay, cool.
Lisa, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Kelly can't hear us.
Oh, yes, I can hear you, Kelly. I'm shaking my head, yes. Oh, she can't hear me.
She needs to turn the volume up on her computer, but she disabled the chat, so I don't know how to tell her that. I'll email her.
Thanks, Jackie.
We've got two more in the waiting room who aren't named. Does anybody know who those might be?
One
I mean,
of
this
them
is an internal meeting, so I assume it's not public at all.
Correct.
yeah, one of them is might be Carolyn, our SPIA fellow. She has an IU account.
Okay.
Sorry, Kelly just ran in.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me, I'll do that part, the time sheets, whatnot, part. I'll be a little late as usual. Bye-bye. See ya.
My phone. Tell me I can get her out of my. It's unmuted. Oh,
Kelly, did you send an agenda out for this meeting like you typically do?
yes, I got one.
Okay, I'll just have to find it. Thank you.
Is everyone, I can't tell who's here. Let me see if I can. Do you have a, yeah, full screen or gallery? Gallery? Oh, I love gallery. Gallery view? Yeah. There we go.
My teeth.
It's the blind leading the blind. You're fine. You went over here to, you're running the meeting.
Well,
Which spots?
Would you like me to share the screen and bring the agenda up for you, Kelly? Since you,
I got one. Let's try. Sorry, we're having Michelle was, I don't know what happened, but she fixed it. So sorry. I think are we all here?
Cheryl Munson indicated in an email she wanted to be included.
Well, I sent her the email. Does she need something besides that?
I don't know, but I don't see her up on the screen.
I'll follow up with her again.
Okay.
And if I could be promoted to panelists to potentially share my screen.
I don't believe this is a webinar meeting, so
Witness on
you
that.
do not need to be, here, let me try this. Do you have an option
Oh,
to share your screen now?
It's working perfect. Thank you. Kelly, I'll try to stay with you, but I'll bring the agenda up and what have you nots just to help.
I didn't bring my phone with me. Does anyone know how to contact Cheryl?
Wait, what did she ask?
She
She's-
wanted a working link when we had one. I just sent her a new.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that you sent out, Tron.
I've got one. Hello,
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
hello, I'm here.
Hi, Cheryl.
Good.
Hello.
Did everyone get a chance to see the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah,
Cheryl, you're driving.
I am driving.
Okay.
Don't be reading the agenda then.
Yes,
I'm not reading the agenda. I'm just
okay.
gonna follow. I'll be stopping soon.
That's an excellent idea. All righty. Oh. Well, we can start if you'd like, or unless, are you almost stopped?
No, go ahead and start.
Okay, while Lisa's here, the number one item talks about Greenway trail maintenance. And we're actually talking about the big things, like the flashing beacons and the hawk, maybe a bridge inspection. Right now, no one's in charge of that, nor is there funding for that. So we just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention.
And we had this discussion with Margie multiple times, and she was getting more familiar that maybe there could be for the 2023 budget set out of maybe somewhere in the county general or under the council of just an overall trail maintenance line. It's increasing everywhere, the mowing, the maintenance, and we can't use MVH funds for any trail maintenance. And then I know, Parks is stretched, and it's just, I guess we've been just trying to see where we can get more assistance.
We had actually planned several extra.
Well, I mean, I don't know about, so
And it's supposed to
Could-
be by April 29th, so we're quite a bit behind schedule. 2 weeks of rain plus.
Somebody needs to mute.
Tech services, can you just remove or mute Kelly Whitmer's window that's empty now?
Thank
Yep.
you. If not, I can call down.
There we
Well,
go.
So I think, I think we've encouraged parks at least to request trail maintenance funds in the past in their budget.
Well, we've done the small things like asphalt, little asphalt here and a little mowing here, but these are different items. So if you want the Parks Department to put these things in for flashing beacons and hawks maintenance and bridge inspections, I have no problem with that, but I just want to,
Because we
alert
had
people.
Well-
brought it to Kelly's attention, the new bridges the 3 or 4 bridges that was put in on the karst. Those are going to have to probably require every few years of a special inspection.
And why can the bridge inspection not just be part of the county's bridge inspection program?
Because we can't do pedestrian bridges, it has to be vehicular bridges.
That seems kind of odd because wait, where is that money coming from?
Hume Bridge,
And Cume Bridge is a general property tax, not a gas tax specific thing. That I would push back on that if that's actually the.
I can go back and look at Hume Bridge budget, but that's what I've always been told, that it was for only vehicular.
That, like I said, that would make sense to me if it came from gas tax or from, vehicle registrations, but that's a general property tax.
Okay,
I think relying on past practices isn't always, we should verify that.
That's
because
fine.
It may not be the case as Jeff says. The other thing I want to throw in here, I'm looking at this list for flashing beacons, and there's a number of trail intersections that are city trail, Clear Creek Trail. And that I don't think would be in the parks budget, our parks budget.
And we'll discuss that kind of separate. This
Okay.
topic kind of generated before this project even came thought of.
Okay.
Some of this discussion even became when we're talking about Fullerton Pike Phase 3, and we've built Fullerton Pike Phase 1 and 2, and those both have the multi-use paths with them.
Right.
So we were talking about signage, that if we were putting additional signage onto those trails. And so it just, and the mowing, who's gonna, it's very much increasing, and neither I had a line in my budget for trail maintenance. And like I said, I think we've discussed with Kelly, and their trails keep increasing. So, and then we do have the 2-3 hawk signals out there. We've tried to do in-house as much minimal maintenance that we can on those, but does those really fall under? I don't have anything in our MBH for the hawk signals, but so that's kind of what we've had this discussion in the past. So that's why we were just kind of bringing it to the forefront.
Is that Cheryl that has a comment or has her hand raised, or who's?
Yes, it is. Cheryl, were you wanting to speak? You have your hand raised.
Hold on. Yes, I had a question. If the trails accommodate bicycles, are those sufficiently vehicular that MVH could work?
No.
So
MVH is a lot more, MVH is a lot more strict than the other budgets.
Okay.
Okay, so you can, I'm trying to formulate my question here. So there is a funding source to, when you're building the new road, say Fullerton Pike, to add to build the multi-use trails next to Fullerton Pike. But you're saying the same funds that can be used to maintain that road then can't be used to maintain the multi-use path right next to the road?
Well, I'll tell you, and that's a very interesting thing that you brought up there, because I just had this discussion with another county today. I've asked if TIF funds could be used for road maintenance. We build those roads. Why can't we use money in those TIFs for road maintenance to take care of those roads after we build them?
Yeah.
I'm told, no, we can't. And so your question about a path, if I can't take care of the road, then I guess I can't take care of a path. Now, the other county that I talked to today, they had a TIF fund. They took care of their roads in that TIF with their TIF funds. But I've reached out to Jeff Cockrell many times, and he tells me I can't. Now, that would take care of issues like that. Fullerton Pike TIF could take care of that Fullerton Pike multi-use path and the roadways.
I will tell you that there was a case and it had to do with a park that was built with TIF funds, and they were not allowed to maintain that park with those funds.
Yeah.
Court said no.
And then I had Davies County tell me that they have a TIF fund, and that's the only way, that's how they maintain those TIF roads, was they used it for paving, for striping, for everything. So it's something that I would really like to look into, because the West Side TIF has some very expensive roads to take care of, Curry Pike. But we're not allowed to use any of the funds to help maintain them. And I believe Jeff, he's my guidance, he's my go-to. But I don't know how other counties, and maybe they're doing it wrong.
Or do we need to speak with our General Assembly representatives and see if we can persuade them to make a change. But that is interesting.
It's very interesting to us, you know, we want to keep Profile Parkway and the extensions and the Wellness Way and all the roads and improvements that we've done inside the TIF and even the trail. But if we can't use the funds to take care of them, then again, we build these roads and we make new roads, but then we can't take care of them because MVH is so stretched. And then, you know, the parks is so stretched that it doesn't increase the funding there, but it increased the workload. And I guess that's our big question with Margie of how do we keep, you know, stay above water with everything that we, you know, take in, and how do we work together with parks and highway of who takes care of what? And we don't want to keep building roads and paths and saying, here you go, Kelly.
Right. No, I mean, I agree that if Parks is being asked to take care of something, they need the additional funding to take care of it. I don't think that's in any dispute.
And I think sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
It's just something Kelly and I have been discussing, and we just want to throw it out there as moving forward that maybe we can all put our heads together. If somebody comes up with an idea before budget time, then we try and do that. No decisions today. We just want to put it out there. And I will check on the Kuhn Bridge budget.
Well, I looked at Kuhn Bridge and the statute doesn't say anything about vehicle or pedestrian. And it defines bridge as means any structure designed to carry, it does say vehicular traffic under the definition of bridge. So a bridge is defined for Kuhn Bridge as any structure designed to carry vehicular traffic over or under an obstacle to the normal flow of traffic, including any grade separation, culvert, or approach to a bridge. So the definition of bridge and cumulative bridge includes vehicular traffic.
Yeah,
and vehicular is
considered
specific.
a vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if a bicycle is vehicular or not.
That's the key to answer.
I guess we'd have to go look at the definition of vehicular in the code.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, again, Kelly, I think we have told you in the past, or we've talked about this in the past, have said that we expect to see in your budget request, if there are additional costs associated with maintaining the trails.
No, I mean, we have no problem. We just wanted to make sure if there's other funding options out there, to ask them first, because obviously, we can make a spreadsheet and get the flashing beacons maintained and fixed when they break, but we just need to know that's our job to do and to put that in our budget.
Well, does it make more sense? I mean, okay, so let's just say there's no such thing as a free lunch. We're going to have to pay, we're going to have to expend additional general funds to do it. Does it make more sense to put it in highways bailiwick and then give them the funding to do it, or to put it in parks bailiwick and give them the funding to do it? Understanding that it's new funding is going to have to be expended for the expense.
I think it's parks.
But anyway, we just want to make sure you're aware of this.
We understand that you
Okay.
can't get something for nothing.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
And if you want me, she's got flashing beacons and the hawk right there. And Kevin Dogan brought up about the map, or the list of locations. Do you want me to go into that?
Are you asking me?
Is it okay to go into that at this point? That list
Yeah,
right
why
there.
not?
Sure.
So we have a project that originally we set up in the MPO funding. And it was originally for a phase of Cars Trail, and then the DNR grant was granted. So we changed the modification of the project description of that to pedestrian trail crossing, rapid beacon locations to improve pedestrian crossings at 7 locations. It was approved by NDOT that we could change that DES number and project description to this, to not lose that funding and fiscal year, I believe it's 2024. So we were going to pay for the design of this out of my engineering and local road and street. And there's no right of way. And then the construction match for the installation of these beacons. The question after that was who was to maintain these beacons for future maintenance. So we met with Tim Street and Kelly yesterday. Tim is going to get back with us. He likes the idea. He needed to talk to a couple people. He seemed very much in favor of that. He didn't think that this was going to be an issue and appreciated us considering those trails being included along those county roads. So that's kind of where we're at with that. We just didn't want to lose. I think it's about $100,000 of funding, and we think we can get this done for that. I believe it's a 90-10 match, so our match would only be the 10%. So we wanted to move forward with this, and that's what this was all about.
Is this HSIP or is it
Yes.
app? It is HSIP. I like it. I like those flashing beacons. Personally, I like them better than hawk signals.
Well, we don't like the hawk signals either.
Yeah. Hawk signals are too confusing to motorists. They don't understand them.
Yeah, and we had that discussion yesterday, and Paul's looked at to maybe, I guess there's some new beacons that you don't have to trigger with a switch. It has like beams that once they pass that laser beam, or so to speak, then it triggers the beacons. Nobody has to stop and press a button. We'll look at those options. We'll look at maintenance options. But then again, we'll also look at which ones would have to be solar, which one would have, or has power close by. And that's
do you have to worry about the animals triggering the motion?
I don't know that we've looked enough into those. They're so new. But again, that's where we would weigh the pros and cons, and especially cost on, because they're so new.
Well, if the animals were deer, it may be a good idea to have them trigger the signal.
Yeah.
And the deer would be tall enough like a human to set it off. So
Good point, Kevin. Yeah. Could you install those on South High Street too, to protect, never mind.
Oh, Kenny. So that's kind of where we were we just really didn't want to lose the project, and kudos to Paul for coming up with these locations and maybe just putting a little bit more emphasis on pedestrian safety at those locations.
I think that's fantastic. There are a couple even in the city. I think there's one at 4th and Rogers, maybe. That's really nice. I mean, I think that's pretty useful. People seem to use that all the time.
Well, excellent. Are there any other questions on this topic?
Just, do you think a map of these locations would be helpful, or do you already have one, Lisa?
We're pretty familiar with the locations, and actually we just now reached out to a consultant because we'll have to have a consultant on to kind of do a little design layout and a survey and do the pre-design work for us. Again, there's no right of way involved, so it's pretty big, cut and dry, but we just want to be ready to go, and maybe funding will come sooner, and we could say, yeah, we're ready to go. So
perfect. If you think it's of help, just reach out.
Okay.
We'll get you a map.
Appreciate it, Tron.
Congratulations. That's great.
Well, thank you. You want to move on to the second item on the agenda? I asked Jeff Cockrell, and I'm sure I'm paraphrasing this. I did not know how the bond request for trails was initiated in the bond, because it did not come from the Parks Department. And Jeff said Margie Rice probably talked to the commissioners, and that's how it happened. Jeff, is that how you would describe it?
That's my understanding, is that's how that information flowed to the commissioner's office.
So I'm wondering if the Internal Trails Group would be the committee that would ask the commissioners to put some money in for either trail improvement or expansion or development for future bonds.
I would think so.
Well, we are at the right place then.
So it's
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I-
250,000 the request?
Pardon me, Kevin?
Are you making a new request or want to make a new request for 250,000 or is that?
Well, I was talking to Jeff Cockrell early and he threw out the number 250. Any amount would be helpful. And I don't know how generic it has to be, Jeff, because we don't know what's going to come down the pike. It could be a grant. It could be someone wants a new parking lot. Someone wants a trailhead. We want to buy land going from RBB school system to Flatwoods Park. I didn't know how general we could be with the money if it gets approved.
Well, I think that there are really two different stages, right? Because right now, I think what the commissioners are doing are they're looking at needs and assessments to put in a bond, and then they'll present that to the county council. So I think if you put in a number and say, here are some of our ideas, then that's how that could get filtered that way, with the thought that, hey, we probably want to keep this in case we get some kind of bond or something like that, or not bond, grant or something like that. I think as we get closer to the actual issuance of the bond, we'll check with bond counsel to see what kind of specificity he requires in order to make this work. But in the past, I think we've done it both ways. We've dedicated a certain project, or we just put it in a general trail fund. But when the presentation's made to the council, they have an interest to know what we're doing the bond for. So I would say at this point, request a dollar amount with, your top 2 or 3 thoughts on here's where it's likely to go, but we really want to see what the grant market looks like before we make a final determination. And I guess my feeling is I'd rather you make the request now with that, as opposed to trying to wait and try to figure out how you're going to spend it later, because that'll be too late.
Yep. Would it make sense to have 2 short lists, 1 list for projects that we would want money for if we got a grant, and the other list of projects we'd like to do irrespective of a grant, or that we don't think we would ever get a grant for, but are high priority trail projects?
I think at this point, I think I would just put it in 1 list and just kind of highlight, hey, if we get a grant, this is the kind of projects we'd look at. If not, here's the other one. I mean, that list is kind of malleable at this point, because, the commissioners have to compile the list from everything and kind of put them all together. And then there's a lot of conversation with the council on the priorities of all those lists. So I think it's more important to get the number out and the general idea out now and kind of refine it as you go, as opposed to putting your foot in the sand. This is what we want to do with it. Unless you know where that foot's going to go. And it doesn't sound like we do. So I think it's much more important to get the request to the commissioners with a general idea than to try to refine it a lot now before it goes to, the commissioners and the council who are going to help refine the projects.
Does anyone have a comment on the amount?
That number seems to be pretty straightforward. I think we've used it before, and it seems like a reasonable amount that gives enough resources to actually do something real, but also doesn't, take up too much space in the bond.
Does anyone have any projects that are close and near and dear to their heart? If not, I have a list.
Well, don't we kind of already have, we have our big trail projects, right? We've got, you know, the existing Limestone Greenway South. We've got Karst Farm Greenway. We've got the Karst Bloomfield Road connector. We've got the Ellettsville to the county line project. I mean,
You've listed them.
yeah, I was gonna say, we kind of already,
We have the list. I just didn't know if anyone had something near and dear to their heart. I can send out some things to people and so we can narrow some stuff down. But if everyone agrees,
Well, Kelly, Jackie Nestor has her hand raised. She might have something to say.
Thanks, John. I was just gonna ask if the bond is for just general trail improvements and expansions. How do you think you'll prioritize improvements versus expansions? What, you know,
well,
given the conversation that Lisa had about the need for maintenance dollars, I don't know if that's also included in there, but.
maintenance bond is not for maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll all be-
The improvement still would be a capital item, such as a trailhead, a parking lot, things like that. So you'd still have to take care of them.
Okay.
The expansion, you know, we can talk about RBB School to Flatwoods Park to Owen County line. 250,000 wouldn't make the trail. We could at least buy the land and maybe do some other things in that direction. It all depends in the grants. You know, we know now from the Karst Farm Greenway what everything costs to actually put a trail in. And it's a little good start, but I don't know if anyone has a particular project they like more or better than others.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I like all of the projects that we've identified as priorities, and I like the idea of, you know, keeping flexible as long as possible because of grant opportunities, and we always have to be opportunistic and, you know, take use the. I mean, this local money, the bond money is awesome for leverage, local contribution for other projects. So I think that gives us a huge amount of power in obtaining grants that we're able to actually put some cash in if need be.
Kelly,
yes, Kevin?
Can you put together a working list of projects so we're all on the same page, and maybe some of us might suggest additional ones to be added by this group, but I think we all should have the same working list at this point as a reference point.
That would be wonderful. I'd be more than happy. So do I have permission from this group to at least get the ball rolling to the commissioners from this group?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Does anyone have any more questions on this topic?
No.
Oh, excellent. We can go on to the next topic.
I will just quickly, you know, when we go to these meetings with other counties and other jurisdictions about trails, they're always astounded that we're able to come up with so much local funding. And I think, you know, the support of the committee, and they're always envious of the support of the commissioners that our trail projects have. But I think that really gives us, like I said, gives us a lot of power in being able to go after other funding to be able to have that local commitment. So that's.
Well, yes, and we have a meeting next week with Owen County at McCormick's Creek State Park, and I want to hear what they have to say and some more grant opportunities. And yes, they are very envious of Monroe County supporting the trails that we have. And I believe it's a wonderful thing. People are already on the Karst Farm Greenway at Ellettsville. I mean, with their dogs, their bikes, their rollerblades. We almost get run over every time we go out there now.
Right.
So excellent. So we can go on to the next topic unless someone has a question. All righty. Karst Farm Greenway, Next Level Trails, they started today. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. They cut Mr. Hill's fence. They put in a temporary gate. They're going to put the farm fence to keep the cows out. Paul has been wonderful. He's been helping us, and we're going to have some change orders. Might put us over budget. We're going to look very closely at everything. I've had a call of DNR today. They're working closely for us to keep the budget in line. And we've discovered some culverts that we might need to address and fix, and additional fencing toward the railroad area. So any questions?
Yeah, well, what's the schedule on the railroad portion of the?
If everything in the world goes perfectly, they may be done around Christmas, but most likely they will be done, my guess, March. I don't know. It could be done in December. We don't know. DNR has met with NDOT and they have seen the contract. Yeah, yeah. no.
Indiana Railroad.
DNR met with NDOT to talk about the NDOT contract with the Indiana Railroad. So they feel confident that that's happening. They just get nervous because our portion of the trail will be completed and then people will be forced to walk on the road while the railroad construction is starting. You know, we can put signs up.
And I know the railroad is still working on this. I just received probably an hour ago, the license agreement that I will take to the commissioners on Wednesday to allow Monroe County to have the pedestrian crossing at the Lowe's Road. So I just got that from Indiana Railroad and I will have that on the commissioner's agenda for Wednesday.
Oh,
Excellent.
great. So when will our part be done?
Our part will probably be done because we have some changes in some culvert situation. My guess is around August 20th.
Okay.
I mean, most of it will be done before July 31st, but we have some change orders and yada, yada, yada. And everything has to be done our ways, construction by September 1st.
What's the culvert situation?
Okay.
Yeah, Kelly,
Paulson. Yes, Kevin?
did the problems with the property owner get worked out concerning the fencing?
Yeah, right.
I'm pondering that answer. It has worked out for today. Hopefully it'll work out tomorrow. I know Molly is talking about the rail bed issue, which is totally separate than the easement issue. The easement issue, I believe, has been worked out. I don't know about the rail bed issue.
Good, okay.
What are the issues, if you don't mind, or is it too long to?
Well, I believe the farmer had a meltdown last week because it's really happening now. He's been our best friend, and then all of a sudden he told us to get off his land and don't touch his land and talk to the attorneys, and we're trying to calm him down and do everything we can to make him happy. And Molly, the new attorney, is working on this project.
I sent the property owner a written notice that what we intended to do, so that he was aware of when construction would start and what the plan was. And I also gave him notice to refrain from removing trees and things like that from the property. And then as far as the railroad project goes, I'm looking at as to like a fencing issue in essence.
Okay. Thank you. Well, there's always something.
There's always something. Any other questions on that topic? Vernal Pike Greenway, I think Lisa has some good news. Well,
So we signed an agreement with Smith Design Group just to update some surveying work since everything was finalized and some design. Right of way's done, and I think after we get the things done with Smith Design, then I would assume that we are ready to bid that project out.
Wow.
Good.
Great.
Wow. So the plans got
I have
approved.
not heard, as far as I am told, we are ready to keep on moving.
Wow.
so when do you think it'll be done?
Kelly.
I don't know. She's doing
This segment right here.
Yes.
Are we still using that old bridge?
Paul?
In Tron, I believe it's farther than that yellow line or further.
Yeah, it goes to over by Vernal.
Yeah, as far as I know, we're using the old bridge, but I don't know the details on where it is or whose it is or any of that type of thing.
Okay. Hopefully it's still been maintained in good condition. But that was a pretty cool.
Have to find out the status of that. I'm not sure.
So if you look at Tron's map, the yellow line goes more west.
Yes. Because the railroad's west of Curry.
Yeah, the bridge goes over the railroad, right? Is that?
Yes.
Where is this bridge located right now that we're supposed to use?
That's what we need to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah, no idea where it is currently.
Sitting in a shed somewhere.
It's sitting somewhere.
Probably not in a shed, but probably stored outside somewhere.
Right.
The steel bridge.
And the yellow segment here is just one little more bit of connector, but that's why it's yellow.
Does anyone
Paul
have any
has-
more questions?
Yeah,
Nope.
Tron, that yellow section's part of the design, the Smith Group design.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool. The last I heard was talking about the right of way and such. Oh, well,
Well,
excellent.
we're going to be
That's-
changing the design there to keep from getting into that warehouse property and utilities and things. Yeah.
Well, that's really great news. That's awesome. Wow. I was hoping I'd still be around when we figured out that.
This may be a stupid question, but is the idea that the trail will be on the north side of the road all the way over to Loesch Road?
Yeah, it's on the north. It'll stay on the north side
That's what I thought.
all the way to
Okay.
Loesch.
Some of the topography looks a little challenging on the north side. That's why I asked, but
Yeah, we've got a sidewalk on the south side currently, so
okay.
it'll complement that
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Good.
Ready for the next topic? Liberty Drive, you might have news for that. don't you?
Yeah. Okay, so we did have a meeting last week with Bloomington Transit and walked that whole corridor. Worked out additional bus stops with them and possibly relocating a bus stop. We were actually able to finally have a meeting with Ted Ferguson of Public Investment Corporation yesterday. That meeting was with Jeff Cockrell and Paul and myself. So the main topic of that was the Sierra Drive. I don't think Paul, Jeff, or myself left that meeting with much encouragement. Because actually we have already reached out to our consultant that we think we're gonna have to figure out an alternative. Public Investment Corporation, they do not have a timeline, but they want to probably redevelop their that Sierra Drive with maybe apartment buildings eventually. So they're really hesitant on giving us any type of temporary easement or any type of easement to be able to use their Sierra Drive to connect to the trail. So
Oh, that's unfortunate.
that's very unfortunate. So Doug and Paul, Paul went straight back to the office and was looking at alternatives of getting back there to the Karst Trail. The only thing at this point, I think that we could come up with was it the south property line, Paul, over to, that goes through to the church?
Yeah, if you project a line straight west of Constitution and Curry, kind of follow that path and go through the church property. And then the property just north of that Lamplighter mobile home park,
Uh-huh.
kind of where that yellow line, there's a yellow line that goes through the church property, the farm field there.
Yeah,
And
that
then
one.
just north of the other mobile home park.
So the church hasn't exactly been I don't know, how do I say it? They've not been that easy to work with in the past on trail projects.
Yeah.
And that's what we were afraid of. We didn't know if anybody had someone that we can talk to at the church, or if anybody's talked, if they have a contact information, if they could pass that along to us, we would be happy to go out and talk with them.
Have you guys talked with Dave Schilling about this?
I have not.
Talk to Dave Schilling. He did a lot of the work on the previous, on the existing easement that we used for the existing Carts Farm Greenway with the church. And he may know the people, and he may also have some thoughts on working with them.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to get with him and talk about it and then maybe get with us?
Yeah, I'll go down the hall and ask him about it.
Okay, that would be great.
I just remember Dave, pulling out his hair a couple of times on dealing with them to get that easement. So they may not be, I'm just saying they may not be the easiest landowner to work with either.
Right, and maybe it's different people running it at this point.
Yeah, it could be. The name changed.
Also, maybe they had fears of negative activities as a result of the trail going in, and the trail probably hasn't caused any of those activities over the years it's been there. So maybe they've softened up their views too.
True. And also before, I think we were trying to negotiate a donation, and it was just really difficult. And maybe if we just buy the land from him.
Right, and it's not, I think somebody said they still farm that land, and if we're just taking a little slither off the top, it's not gonna be much, that they still can't farm their land.
That's good. So the public investment doesn't have any timeline on there. Are they waiting for the new CDO, or what's?
That was part of it.
Yeah, he didn't give us any time frame, but it sounded like our time frame needed to move faster than what theirs was going to.
It seemed like they used to be supportive.
And Jeff made a good point of that yesterday, and it's not, I don't think that it's not supported, it's just the timing.
Yeah, he wasn't saying anything bad about the trail. He was just saying, we're really looking at this property, or they're thinking about this property in a different way now.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think that it would make any difference to Ted that if he found out we were looking at an alternative route that would bypass this property? I mean, these trails tend to add to the value of the property if they are in close proximity.
And we pointed that out to him, and we mentioned that to him yesterday, that didn't he feel like this would be a benefit for, him to build apartments, to have the trail connection located right by the property. I think it's just they're not sure how their layout's gonna be.
Okay.
Well, I don't know how this works, but is there no way that we could negotiate an easement until such time as they build they develop their property, and then they may choose a new route for the trail to take to connect from point A to point B?
We made that offer.
We kind of left that with him.
Yep.
Right, so I think he's gonna mull it over, but I don't, it was an odd conversation, because we're working with someone who wasn't opposed to it. It's just like.
But he wants to develop his property and doesn't want to, tie his own hands. I get that. Man.
Well, and that's kind of where we left it, like maybe a temporary easement until they decide what they wanted to do with their property. And then once they made their plan, we make adjustments to our trail, at that time. So, we'll wait to hear back from him, but we didn't leave very encouraged.
I think it's well worth talking to the church, because just looking at this map, if we can go straight across Constitution Way and connect up. It's a much more efficient design. I mean, I know we'll have more surface paving that'll be required, but it looks a lot better as a trail to go straight across.
Where's
Fair
the
enough.
church at? Where is the church?
It's further southwest, and they do have the, if you're talking about the, oh gosh, what is it called now? Trinity. They bought that in 2019. We did work with them and they seem pretty pleasant and easy to work with. They put in a cemetery, so I would maybe try again.
So is it actually a different owners of the church then than it used to be, when it was
I
Clear
believe
Note?
so.
Oh, maybe they are worth.
That's a good question. I think maybe a different, I don't know who Dave was talking to, but I thought the pastor was relatively new, but that could have just been my impression. I don't know if that's the person.
And maybe, Jackie, do you know who you worked with in 2019? Do you have their information?
Yeah, I can find that.
Okay, if you could pass that along to me, then I'll do my work on trying to set up a meeting with whomever I need to set up a meeting with.
Sure. And I sent in an email and Tron has it up on the screen, but our SPIA fellow did a few different route feasibility study, and one of them was one of these routes. So that could be helpful. It was in 2017, so take it as you will. But the other thing I was going to mention about the public investment core Sierra property, it's zoned PUD, so I don't think they can just come in and do apartments without going through a commissioner request. That's my sense.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Jackie, and I'm not going to sit here and put words into that Ted didn't say. I kind of felt like he did mention that he thought it could be a PUD. I don't know, maybe I think it was even said at one point that we couldn't sit and say what the plan commissioners would do.
Yeah, I wonder, sometimes people get to this point and then they're like, this is a good time to request a change and I'll use this as leverage, which.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's a shame though, that sounds like they changed their tune.
But I mean, if you look at the map, going straight across Constitution would be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So if you could pass that contact information that you had in 2019, I'll be happy to try and set up a meeting with them.
Because I like it going straight across too. I mean, it's on the edge of their farm field and their building's not even hardly in sight of it.
Well, and there'll be a traffic signal right there.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
bus.
the terrain's a little challenging there along the north side of the
Is it wet?
mobile home park. It's low, wet, would probably require a pedestrian bridge across that creek.
Oh, don't like bridges.
Oh,
We
maybe a
love
small
bridges.
one.
I don't like bridges.
We love bridges.
I think they recently.
Could be
surveyed
another
the
one of those
property.
prefabs like we're using on the Cars Trail.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think they might have recently surveyed the property too, so then the legal description might not be too far of a stretch, but I'll send that to you, Lisa.
Okay, that would be great. And speaking of pedestrian bridges, real quick before I have to run over and get some emails out. Monroe County will be able to use Bridge 83 eventually as a pedestrian bridge, our Steel Trust Bridge, because we were awarded to get that replaced.
That was my next bullet that I didn't put in.
Construction is fiscal year 2027, so it'd be our goal for that to be, which would start in July 2026, so.
Well, keep pondering which side of the bridge that the pedestrians should cross.
So wait, I missed that one. I'm sorry. Which project were you talking about?
So Bridge 83, the Steel Trust Bridge was awarded in the NDOT NOFA call for replacement.
Oh, the Dillman Lane one.
Yeah, Dillman
Yeah.
Road.
Or
Road.
is that Dillman Road?
Yeah.
So you will have that Steel Trust Bridge to use in your future plans for a pedestrian bridge.
Great. And Paul, you think that that would work on the mitigation property?
I think it could cross that creek that's there next to, or crosses under Victor Pike. Don't know the name of that channel, but it should be long enough. I think it's a
Okay.
75-foot, 80-foot bridge.
You're talking about the one right where the existing
Yeah,
limestone greenway ends.
Find it off and then turn these all off.
Yeah, right there.
That would be so nice. That is the hardest, the corridor. I actually just walked that corridor south of the limestone greenway 2 weeks ago, and it's remarkably clear and easy to navigate, except to get across that creek. It is extremely difficult to get across. The creek is just too high to even leapfrog or anything. So that would be so nice.
That would be wonderful. Well, while we're talking about this, does everyone have 5 more minutes, or do you need to table this for the next meeting?
I can stay.
Oh, I could stay too, but I was looking more and more into this, and there's a couple nuances I was wanting to bring to your attention, but go right ahead.
Oh, well, it's just a thought. It doesn't mean it's good, but if you follow the trail, Tron, is that your map?
Yeah, but I got a one.
Oh, I love what you had on before.
Oh,
I
you'll
like
like this one better.
I like where you can see the trees. Or that's fine too. Oh, okay. Anyway. Okay. There, you see where it comes through here? It comes through 3D, and Margie had been working with 3D to make a trade. So we can work with them. I wish I had a pointer. See where the green is right there, the dark green? Right there you go, Tron. There you go. If we could, if the foundation really owns this, trade that for the yellow green up there. Yes. And then keep going down, Tron. Whoops, where are you going?
Oh, that
Okay,
just
go
was
down.
thinking.
Okay, go down and now just follow the trail that you did up to the right. The foundation may own that too. If we can prove that they own that, how close does that get to Mamie Eads Road is the question.
There.
I mean, it might be 10 feet. I don't know how close does the foundation property get to Mamie Eads Road, because we could use Mamie Eads Road as a bike lane and then maybe ramp up on Greg Travis's road, or, the Mamie Eads right there, and boom, we're right there. And we don't have to go through Mr. Elkin's property, because he believes he owns the other part of that trail.
He thinks he owns Mamie Eads Road too.
Well, but he doesn't, correct?
Not according to Margie.
Well, isn't that a county road?
I don't know. There's a lot of ambiguity. I've been reviewing the CSX
Well, no.
declaratory
Yeah.
judgment, and some of the maps do indicate that that strip of road is owned. So
Is owned by whom?
there's just a lot going on here. So here's a couple different other valuations right here. That's the strip that you're talking about.
That the foundation might own.
No, well, ooh, it's very complex. Okay, so here's kind of the valuation map, and here, Kevin, I think you'll like seeing this since you've probably never seen it before. Let me just clean up a couple things. So yeah, as far as super clean title, here's the highlighted green section, the first part that Kelly's indicating, and then here comes to Eads Road, and then kind of continues down these two segments. So those are important. And here's kind of where you start getting some very preliminary indication of who owns property rights. Here it's very we didn't do a limestone greenway, so we can't really tell, but even if we did do this connection and got over here, we still have some determinations of easement and fee simple to be made. But as you can see, it's already looking as an easement versus fee. So there's another difficulty. And then when you kind of get down here, they do have this portion indicated as Elkins property, that little
In
portion
the
right there.
road. Well, it's either a county road or it's not. I mean, it's either in the inventory or if it's not. Correct, Paul?
Right, I was wanting to understand what highway had on it too prior to today's meeting, but I've been pretty much bogged down all day today. But my main point is I love the idea to think out of the box, but this whole area is still pretty problematic as far as being certain how clean the title is. Here's a couple PDFs of kind of that area in question. As you can see, you know, here is the multi-use trail easement kind of deeded. Then you kind of got the Bloomington Southern Railroad right there is still some ambiguity. And then you kind of have this apparent deed overlap here. So I don't even know how much the county has title to this section that you're hoping could, you know, then entice for that swap here. But I think it's
when Margie was talking to them, I think they are agreeable to doing some good things with trails. And even if whatever we own or not own and we transfer to them, they would be happy, I believe. We haven't talked to them recently, but they're agreeable people. I think they'll be the most helpful in this project.
Kurt and Lily are great. Yeah.
Jump in on this. You know, I did a lot of research years ago on this, and this spur that comes out off the what's now the CSX corridor that goes across the property there that's being noted. I never saw anything other than some maps showing it, and no documentation of ownership rights or easement. There could be something that existed that we may or may not find, but I wouldn't count on that. But I do think it's a very good chance that the people that own this operation here, this property, might work with us just to clear title.
Yes, that's what their concern is.
And be to get us off their property description and work with us, which would be great. But I don't know, because there's no bridge there anymore crossing the creek, how valuable that part of it that goes over, you know, to the corridor, the CSX corridor is there. It seems to me that since we own the corridor further south for the Bloomington Southern, that we ought to be aiming to cross the creek farther down and go directly to Mamie Eads roads without.
Well, here's the pros and cons of that. Here's the pros and cons. If you go the direction that Margie had been doing, we have to cross, Mr. Elkins really believes he owns, right to the left, go over, Tron, right there. He really believes he owns that. That's where the train trestle thing is. So, which means we have to either rehab that, take it down, or build a new one anyway. And once you get to the cemetery, there's no deed for that. So we'll have to figure that out. And once you get to the Indiana limestone, Tron, go to the Indiana limestone. Up, no, you're right there. No, right, you're there, right there. I've been told that's very wet, and it'll cost a lot to build that trail because it's not on a railroad bed. And then when you get to Texicon, Tron, point to Texicon, we don't have that. Their septic is there, I've been told. Their whole operations is there. And then you get on Fluck Mill Road, you would have to cross on a vehicular bridge. And then, so you're actually going to be building more bridges this route.
Right. What if we went all the way down and got onto the light blue easement there that we acquired from Texicon? But once we got across the top, we get a bridge there to go over and just cut the very bottom end of Elkins property, angle down the maybe, what's the name of the road? Eads Road. Yeah, but we angle down to the road, staying off of property that he can develop into something, and just, you know, parallel the creek on the other side until we get to the road. That
That
seems
is a
like it would
choice.
provide the
Yeah.
best loop, and it would only have one crossing over the creek, other than the one we'd have to rehab,
Well, the train trestle is pretty big. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
big one. So you're just adding 2 bridges, and in my scenario, you're only adding 1 bridge.
well, but you're really cutting off our trail south on the Bloomington Southern route prematurely. We just have a dead end there.
No, if you try and go up, I want to show you guys something. And then we won't be going on the PCB site or in front of Greg Travis's house or behind Greg Travis's house. Okay, if you follow the trail going up, there's one property that Elkins owns. And it has the bridge that Margie thinks we might own. And then it gets to the Knapcheck property.
Mhm.
So look at that big loop you're making. You can make 2 big loops. And all you're doing is putting a bridge at the mitigation, which Paul may have. And then you're putting a bridge where 3D is. You're not doing the train trestle. You're not doing Fluck Mill or crossing on the higher end. You're just doing less bridges, but I don't know property-wise if it's smarter or not. And you're on a rail bed most of the time, which is cheaper to make a trail on a rail bed. It's just a thought. You all ponder that. I
So-
went out and hiked it yesterday.
Kevin, the one you were talking about, Margie had asked us to put some options together for that and that particular connection here. So I'll show you. So right here would be a bridge. These are indications of where a bridge would
Yeah.
be. But yeah, so we've explored numerous options. I think this actually has quite a
Now
few
remember-
different options.
Now
So-
remember,
So I'm
Kevin,
just saying, we've provided that to Margie. I'm not sure how Margie then moved along with it. And I'm not sure what is the best course of action to take, but just that idea has been discussed.
now
Could we-
Kevin, remember Texicon, we do not have an easement through Texicon.
We don't, yeah.
We do not.
Okay.
And
Well,
I don't know if you've all been out there, but they have a lot of big equipment and big stuff right all in that parking lot. And
Right.
And Jeff, what do you think? Once you get on Fluck Mill Road, are you going to use the vehicular bridge to get across?
To get across the creek.
Yep. There's another bridge if you're going to build another one.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to have I haven't looked at these properties in a long time, so I'm
It's a thought, just everyone just think about it, or just think about what Kevin said and how many bridges and how can we avoid Elkins property as much as possible. Plus to
So-
get back up to Knapcheck's property.
Here's the declaratory judgment. Here's this one point, and I just wanted to bring it up since it was discussed. This is that little strip, so I'm not really sure the strip, the road, what's going on there, but
Well, the numbers are the key. The 138 feet in fee and 542 in easement. The easement's of no value to us.
right. So my main
Wrong.
point is that, we probably need to pay a little attention to what's going on here with clean title. If the decision is made, and I don't really have a position except for I think this is an awesome extension for the Limestone Greenway, whichever option we do take, that we just want to be clear about, I guess, title here too. Just wanted to bring that up. Like I said, Kelly, it's pretty complicated. We've looked
I
into
know.
this quite extensively for legal several different times, and just wanted to kind of bring everyone to the same page. But I think thinking out of the box is the only way we're gonna get this trail moving forward.
Because
south.
right now, from 3D, if you're on the rail bed going south, you run into Barry Elkins' property, and then you run into the church property, or the cemetery, I'm sorry, the cemeteries. But no one has a deed on the cemetery either, right?
But we do own this property here. That's the swap
Hey.
we did.
Well,
I'm gonna have to duck out. I'm sorry.
okay, bye, Jeff. Thank you. God bless you, Jeff.
This is Jeff.
Jeff, you didn't duck out yet. Oh, there he goes.
But you, Tron, look at the light blue stuff on Texicon. I don't know if that's a done deal.
It is, it's recorded. It's a done deal.
Okay, does anyone have that document? 'Cause
I
don't.
gave it to you the other day. It's signed and it's recorded.
No, that's all Indiana limestone. It's not Texicon. It stops.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Sorry, I'll have to review it, but I almost feel like that was part of it because it gave us this route and that route. Let me see if I can find it really quick. But
I didn't know if Texicon owned that.
it wasn't on the deed I gave you the other day to try to figure out where it was.
And plus, we'd have to either cross the vehicular bridge or make a pedestrian bridge across that, go across the PCB property, and then either go in front of Greg Travis or behind Greg Travis. Because we have to ramp up to get to the railroad. It's very high.
Yeah. Can all the rest of us see the study of the list of options that was prepared for Margie or that Margie prepared?
I think Tron has it.
Okay. I'd like to look at it. I don't think we're going to resolve anything today.
Oh, no, it's just a thought.
I'll send that to you, Kevin.
Thank you.
One thing I've never really been able to bring too much attention to, but it's really cool, and I'm gonna just take the opportunity. We had two options at first, and maybe I got it off here.
One thing I'll say about Margie.
If you see this right here, this is what they wanted to swap first. And this is what was on that Travis Norman survey I just pulled up. And it literally goes in the roadway or in the waterway.
Yeah.
And from our field trip walking, here it is here. We ended up plotting this out and seeing that, that wasn't going to be a permanent trail. So this was our successful swap. And I just think that is amazing because this actually is outside of the flood prone area as well. So it's easier to explain when you see these two.
So do you think Texicon is a done deal?
I'll look for that deed, this part here, but Kelly, since you're questioning that, I'm going to question it until I see the document. But I gave you the document and the document has.
It does not have Texicon.
It does not have this little
It's
portion
not
there.
on Texicon's property.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
limestone.
that's what I'm thinking
It
too,
doesn't
Kevin.
matter. It is property owned by Indiana Limestone, but it gets us around Texicon.
That's not what that's not what Tron showed me.
Okay, well, my thought is this, even if we decide to go a different route to cut over to the CSX corridor, if we have this easement or can get it, I think we have it.
Oh, we have it.
We need to keep it, and it should be part of a hiking trail, if not a part of the paved limestone greenway, because it's valuable. It's
we're
very
not
scenic.
giving it up.
Okay, all right, but we need to include it in our plans in some way.
You're right, Kelly. Sorry, I just remembered it's a dash line that's there. So yeah, correct. So this was our successful swap agreement with that corridor for Limestone Greenway. Goes all the way up here. There's that Texicon, I think. I think we got a lot of things prepared, but it went over their septic area. And I think at that time, Mr. Norman wasn't really wanting to do anything. And then we also got this swap as part of it, which.
Because I'm assuming that's our goal, is to get to what Tron just showed us, the below area. The Indiana limestone, you just showed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's our goal, isn't it, to get there?
Yes.
Yes. So people think outside the box. And remember when Margie was making a lot of these decisions, she really didn't care about bridges, I'll be honest. And how big a bridge you might need or how high something was. So keep that in mind. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it up and just think about it. And I know Jackie's been thinking about the triangle by Dillman Road and Dillman Lane, to keep that on her radar. So we can make a loop through Mr. Knapczyk's property someday. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
No, sorry to make it harder for you, Kelly, but I think it's a great idea to keep
Oh,
thinking out of the
no,
box.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get to that lower easement from the Indiana limestone. What's the best route? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I do know Mr. Elkins doesn't want us to go on his property ever.
Right, well, this may be a long-term project to get all the way down south of Luck Mill Road in one continuous trail. And I think we just need to keep moving down the corridor, cross the creek at the mitigation property, get as far as the old trestle bridge, and we'll probably have to wait longer to get money for that. Look at our options, but it may take 15 years to get all the way down as far as we currently have some easement.
Kevin, here's my question, Kevin. The GIS has Monroe County Parks and Recreation Foundation as owners of something. I know that may or may not be true, but if the foundation does own something, should they give it to the Board of Commissioners for better protection?
Not till we know what they own. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not sure there's much to that just because there's markings on a map. I don't know. I think it's okay to deal with the one property owner that would like to clear their title, and we can give a quick claim deed to them of anything we own. But as far as doing much more planning and reliance on some old maps as to railroad spurs, I think we have a lot more research to do, and I wouldn't be overly optimistic that there's much there we can rely on.
Now, I just want everyone aware is that if the Dillman Bridge goes on the mitigation property and we clear up title with 3D, that's where the trail would probably end at 3D, because then Mr. Elkins' property takes hold right after 3D.
Well, that's something that might be worth clearing up, because the railroad and Mr. Elkins both can't own the same property at the same time. And I think we got pretty good title to it. So we may want to clear title with him if we have to.
Are you talking about 3D, clear title with 3D?
No, we 3D, it should not be contesting the 100 feet wide corridor that we own by them. Well, except that I think there was an exchange made and that became easement with the city. But that should be pretty clear. What we don't own is all the way down to the creek, but we own that we have rights to that corridor in front of 3D. It's the land between the corridor and the creek that's in question.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure if 3D understands that, and maybe an attorney might need to make sure 3D and us are in an understanding of who owns that corridor, that where you see it, Tron, in the yellow.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as straightforward. So some right here is where we're talking about. Some of it's pretty indicated that yes, the county retains title, and some of it kind of still has some ambiguity where it might revert back to the land.
Kevin's not talking about that. He's talking about the Bloomington Southern Railroad corridor. Go over.
Oh, over here. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Along Victor Pike.
And we didn't look into that. So
We gotta make sure.
Okay, I think originally the title that the city got for the Bloomington Southern Railroad corridor was all owned in fee by the railroad, and that was transferred to the city of Bloomington or their Parks Department, whomever. And then sometime years ago, and I think it was like the last 10, 15 years, they were approached by the prior owners of this property here and about the corridor, and the city negotiated to transfer or to change the status of that corridor from being owned by the city in fee to being an easement. And I think they did that because they thought that there was some uncertainty as to the enforceability of their ownership rights. I don't know all the logic to it, but they did a voluntarily exchange of a property in essence. And that one section of the railroad corridor became a multi-use trail easement, which we are entitled to use in the same way, basically, as what we want to do with the corridor that we own. So that's not a problem for us. The problem has to do with the Elkins property is on the other side, on the east side, and Elkins thinks he owns some of the railroad corridor. And I think he's wrong, and we may just have to show that he's wrong, either in court or working with an attorney for him.
I think we should start working on that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and plus I want to make sure 3D we've been bush hogging where the 3D is. I assume that you believe that we can continue doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you see in orange where it says multi-use easement. We can maintain an easement by bush hogging.
Okay.
As well as we can do that for the corridor. Now, I don't remember the width of that easement. We need to find out. It may not be 100 feet.
Okay. All right. Well, we stop at 3D because that's when Mr. Elkins gets out and tells us to stop.
Well, I think the research shows that we own the corridor property all the way down to Fluck Mill. I think Texcom infringed on our property and put all their stone waste or whatever is on it. And that's why we negotiated an alternative route with them from a pragmatic standpoint, because it would have been very difficult to get them to move all that stone. But I think that it's like any infringement, you got to deal with it legally. And I don't think he has a right to that.
Is Molly or Jeff on the line still? They leave?
Everyone's pretty out here. Molly's still online, but I have to go shortly too.
Okay, Molly, did you hear that? Anyway, Kevin, how about I will call Molly tomorrow to see if what county legal wants. I mean, they need to keep on this or it's going to disappear or something bad's going to happen.
Okay, well, Margie was all familiar with this. So, I mean, I think I'm a little surprised if she hasn't been doing what she thought was necessary to maintain our rights. And I'm not sure. I don't think we have a problem with adverse possession here. I just think this issue needs to be resolved at the time we actually decide to pave this part of the corridor. We don't need to resolve our dispute now, because I think she probably felt it's clear that Elkins can't stop us from putting our greenway down along this section of the railroad corridor.
Well, if we don't work with or do something with Mr. Elkins, I mean, we can't get a grant until all this is cleared up, probably.
Well, is there a grant out there we're about to apply for?
Well, there's always a grant, but this may take a year to clear up. And I think Rachel Ozer wasn't convinced that we actually owned the trail on Mr. Elkins' property.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know why, because it seems to me that I saw record of all that corridor being owned by the Bloomington Southern Railroad in fee. all the way
Because-
down to Pluck Mill. And I
because if
don't know
we-
why there would be a difficulty showing that.
Because if we do have control over it or own it, Margie really wants us to keep bush hogging the trail. But right now we're being stopped.
But how? How is he stopping you?
Well, he gets out of the car and screams at us and Margie told us, stop, don't go any farther.
Okay, okay. Well,
Like, sorry, I couldn't get my computer to cooperate with my request to unmute myself. Let's set up an appointment and talk about it.
okay. And I think if it's possible to get Margie involved, her thoughts on that, because I don't think she's conceded anything to Barry Elkins about ownership. I think as a practical matter, she probably thought it wasn't worth having a conflict at that date and time. But I don't think she was conceding that he actually has a serious ownership right.
And I have a couple of meetings set up with Margie just to go over some training stuff that I can kind of talk to her about.
Yeah, that'd
this
be great
morning.
if you could get her views, because I'm not as up to date on this. I just don't think Barry Elkins has a claim to the corridor. He has this corridor. He has serious claims to the CSX corridor across his property. And I think if we want to do this other looping route, we have to address those, because I don't think we have fee simple there. Very much fee simple there.
Because once this is cleared up, we would like to bush hog the entire trail, and then we could probably bush hog the Indiana limestone easement behind Texicon. Or,
Yeah, as long, you're talking about the Bloomington Southern corridor, not.
yes, the
CSX.
Bloomington Southern corridor.
Right,
Yes, but if we can get through Barry Elkins on the Bloomington Southern, she always found that very important for us to keep bush hogging.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree we should, and we just need to figure out how to deal with his obstruction. But we just don't have the ability, legal authority to do that on the CSX corridor on his property.
Well, he's been
That's what we're-
stopping us on the Bloomington Southern.
Well,
So Molly, it sounds like that you have a meeting with Margie and you can tell us how it goes.
We have a brief meeting set for Monday, so I don't know if we can address that because I don't know how long she's going to be here, but I can set up another time to meet with her.
Okay. I think, do you need anything else, Molly?
I might touch bases with you tomorrow just to make sure that I'll just touch bases with you tomorrow so I know really where we need Margie's input on and where to go from there.
Okay, call me on my cell phone, call myself.
Okay.
And if there's any documents we've provided to Margie and you just can't find them, reach out and I'll do my best to get those to you, Molly, if they're helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody need anything else? We've had a great discussion, I think.
I think it was excellent. I want to show everyone one thing. Look how cool this is becoming. I mean, a lot of this is still conceptual, but I think we could leave it at a high note and just be pretty amazed that we're this far along. So even just in conversation is pretty significant.
And
So
real quick, Molly, you got my emails about what Tron's been showing you on the thing when I had questions about insurance and stuff?
Yes, and I think Jeff reached out to our insurance agency to
Okay,
ask him a couple
this is
questions.
all the same topic. This is all the same easements. It has nothing to do with Barry Elkins.
Okay.
Okay.
bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Thanks,
Bye,
Kevin.
Tron.
It's
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, whoops.